Most men don't fail because they're weak. They fail because they're noisy. Their minds cluttered with voices that aren't theirs, scrolling endlessly, comparing, doubting, performing, every action echoing someone else's expectations. They chase trends, they copy paths, they silence their own voice, hoping the world claps. But what if the problem isn't that you're not enough, but that you're not still enough to become enough? Because the world doesn't reward noise, it rewards alignment. This isn't a hype video, this is a mirror, one you've been avoiding, because it won't tell you to hustle harder. It'll ask why you're running at all. You say you want clarity, but clarity is born in silence, and silence demands courage. If you can sit through this, not scroll, not skip, just sit, you'll walk away heavier with clarity and lighter with truth. So take a breath, let the noise fall away, because the world doesn't need more men shouting, it needs one man who finally hears himself. This is that moment. Chapter 1, The Addiction to Noise. You wake up, you reach for your phone, not out of necessity, but out of compulsion. Your thumb is trained like a soldier. It opens the same apps, in the same order. Before your eyes adjust to the light, your mind is already drowning in it. Notifications, reels, messages, headlines, everyone demands your attention. Before you've even remembered who you are, and yet you call this normal. You call it staying informed. You call it connecting. But it's none of those things. It's a pacifier, a digital bottle, designed not to nourish you, but to keep you quiet. Quiet enough not to question, still enough to conform. You think you're making choices, but most of your thoughts were planted. Most of your likes were trained. You're not lazy, you're distracted. Every app is a slot machine. Every scroll is a pull. They don't want your money, they want your attention. If they can hold your attention long enough, they own your future. You think you're free? Try turning your phone off. For 24 hours, feel the withdrawal symptoms, the twitch, the reach, the phantom vibrations. Your mind has been hijacked, not by villains, by engineers, not for evil, just for profit. But the result is the same. A man who can't sit still, a man who can't think deeply, a man who's forgotten his own voice, and worse, a man who thinks this is normal. Your silence was stolen. With it, your direction. Clarity isn't found in chaos. It's found in stillness. Stillness has become your enemy. So they gave you 1,000 ways to avoid it, 1,000 tools, to numb the discomfort of being alone with yourself. But what if you didn't avoid it? What if you leaned into it? What would you find in the silence? The silence you've been avoiding. Not weakness, not boredom, truth, raw truth, untamed, uncomfortable. The kind that doesn't blink, doesn't scroll, doesn't refresh. The kind that says, you've been hiding. Not because you're afraid of failure, but because you're afraid of who you might become without the noise. Silence demands action. Action demands responsibility. It's easier to scroll, easier to watch, easier to escape. But the cost is everything. Your potential, your peace, your presence. It doesn't have to be that way. Not if you choose stillness. Not if you reclaim your mind. Not if you dare to unplug. Not from the world, but from the lie that you must always be plugged in. The voice you've been looking for isn't out there. It's been waiting, in the quiet. Are you brave enough to meet it? Chapter 2, The Forgotten Fire. Every man is born with a fire. You can see it flicker in a boy's eyes. In childhood, it burns with dreams too big for bedtime stories. But then life happens. Bills pile up. Roles are handed down. Somewhere along the way, that fire shrinks. Not because we're weak, because we're conditioned. We're conditioned to chase approval, not passion. Taught to play it safe, not free. You once dreamed of building, of creating, of becoming. Now you're just surviving. You call it adulthood. But survival is not life, and silence is not peace. Your fire didn't die. It was buried. Buried under routine, buried under doubt, buried under the slow poison of maybe later. You don't need motivation. You need remembrance. Remember who you were before the noise, before you were told to be realistic. Remember what lit you up when nobody was watching. You weren't lazy. You were uninspired. The system profits when your fire goes cold. A man without fire doesn't rebel. He complies. He clocks in. He nods. He forgets. But somewhere inside you, something still burns. That discomfort you feel, that restlessness, it's not depression. It's your soul trying to break the chains. You don't need more scrolling. You need a spark. Start where it hurts. Follow the ache, not the algorithm. Write again, lift again, speak again, pray again. Do the thing your fire once begged you to try. Don't do it to impress. Do it to remember, because your purpose isn't hiding from you. It's suffocating under everything you were told to want. Stop, just for a moment. Listen. You'll hear the crackle, the quiet roar that says, I'm still here. Fan that spark. Use truth. Use silence. Use courage. You'll rise again. Not as who you were, but as who you always were before the world told you to forget. That's not nostalgia. That's resurrection. And no, it won't be easy, but easy never made men worthy of their fire. So burn again, not for them, for you, for the boy who dreamed, for the man who wakes up and finally remembers he never needed permission. You only need the courage to remember your flame. Fan it, fuel it, fight for it. The world doesn't need more echoes, it needs fire. Here's the truth nobody tells you. That fire inside you, it doesn't ask for permission. It demands presence. You don't need a master plan. You need movement. Not perfect steps, just forward ones. Men waste years waiting for clarity, but courage was always the missing piece. They overthink their calling, all the while ignoring the whisper inside that already knows the way. Because every man knows what he must do. He just hopes someone else will do it first. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you did something that scared you because it mattered? Not for applause, not for likes, not to prove anything, but to wake yourself up. Fire isn't found in safety, it's found in the forge, and life will forge you, either by your choice or by your avoidance. One burns to shape you, the other burns to break you, so choose the flame. Choose to sit with the discomfort of trying again. Write when your hand trembles, speak when your voice shakes, because the fire doesn't care about perfection, it cares about truth. And the truth is this, you were made for more, not in the egoic sense, in the elemental one. You were built to carry purpose like heat carries light. You were born to light paths for others, not to dim yours to fit in. Stop explaining your fire to those who only know smoke. Start walking with those who bring kindling, those who remind you of who you are, not who you were trained to be. Brother, this isn't a call to hustle. This is a call to remember, to return, to reclaim, to rise. Your fire is waiting, and the world is colder without. Chapter 3, The War Within. You've conquered cities in games, you've built empires in your mind, but can you sit alone in a room? Can you face yourself? That is the real battle. It's not against the world, it's against the part of you that flinches when truth knocks. Men are taught to fight everything except themselves. We fight traffic, we fight deadlines, we fight critics, but we rarely fight the man in the mirror. That fight is different. It needs silence. Silence reveals things. It reveals your broken promises. It reveals your neglected dreams. It shows the voice you've buried beneath distractions. That's why you scroll. That's why you binge. You keep moving so the truth doesn't catch up, but the truth always does. When the room is quiet, your excuses echo. Your mask starts to slip. Then the questions come. What am I doing with my life? Why do I feel empty, even when everything looks fine? Who am I becoming? If you're brave enough to answer, really answer, you won't find shame. You'll find your next step. Guilt is not your enemy. Apathy is. Guilt means your conscience still works. Apathy means nothing matters anymore. The war within is not about perfection. It's about permission. Permission to be honest. Admit you're tired. Say you want more. Scream that this isn't what you signed up for. You can't heal what you won't face. You can't lead what you won't own. So own it all. The failure, the pain, the addiction, the fear. These are not your identity. They are your battleground. Only men who bleed honestly can lead righteously. The world doesn't need more curated perfection. It needs warriors who are real. Men who stand with cracked armor and say, yes, I've been broken, but I'm still here. Here's the secret. Every great man you admire lost battles too, but he didn't lose the war. He kept showing up. He showed up even when his hands shook. He showed up even when his voice cracked. He showed up even when the world mocked his softness. Real strength isn't loud. Real strength is steady. It's not about how many reps you hit. It's about showing up when no one claps. That wins the war within. Not bravado, not pretense, not hustle, just the quiet courage to keep going when quitting is easier. Most men quit not because they're weak. They quit because they're isolated. You aren't meant to do this alone. You need brothers, not followers. You need mentors, not influencers. You need a tribe, not an audience. You don't rise in secret. You rise in the open, with others who see your scars and don't flinch. The war within ends when you stop fighting yourself. It ends when you start fighting for yourself. Fight for your peace. Fight for your purpose. Fight for your family. Fight for your legacy. When the inner critic says, "You're not enough," you answer, "Maybe not yet, but I'm coming." Healing isn't a moment. Healing is a march, day by day, step by step. Choose honesty over avoidance. Choose discipline over comfort. Choose purpose over popularity. Some days you'll crawl, some days you'll fly, but every day you show up, you win. Not for applause, but for the man you promised you'd become. That's how you win the war within. The war within isn't one battle, it's a lifelong campaign. Just when you think the storm is past, life will test your foundations again. It will come as failure. Your plans fall apart. You question your worth. It will come as success. Praise tempts you to abandon the discipline that got you there. It will come in silence. You feel unseen, unheard, and wonder if the grind was worth it. That's when you must stand taller, not louder. Battles aren't always fought with fists or fire. They're fought in how you respond when no one is watching. Will you stay true when no one validates you? Will you show up when the outcome is uncertain? Will you keep your word when it would be easier to lie? These questions shape the man you become. Not your wins, but your integrity in the in-between. The war within sharpens your character like a blade against stone. It may chip you, but it also forges you. You become unbreakable, not by avoiding the fracture. You become unbreakable by learning to rise from it. Your scars become your strength, not to impress, but to instruct. Your battle wasn't just for you. It was for your brother beside you, for your son watching you, for the stranger who sees your story and realizes he's not alone. That's legacy. Legacy is not what you built. It's what you endured that now builds others. That's why you can't quit. Not because it's easy, but because you were chosen for this. Your wounds will become someone's wisdom. Your story will be someone's survival guide. But only if you tell it. Only if you keep going. So write it honestly. Bleed on the page. Stand in the mirror. Not as a perfect man, but as a real one. A man who chose growth over guilt. A man who chose purpose over pain. A man who chose to fight the war within and win. Chapter 4. The Discipline of Becoming. Discipline isn't punishment. Discipline is freedom. It's the bridge from who you are to who you want to be. Every great man you admire, every success story you envy, they have one thing in common: discipline. Not talent, not luck, not inspiration. Discipline. Discipline is showing up daily. It's doing the work when you don't want to, choosing the hard path, not the easy one. Comfort kills growth. Comfort whispers, "Rest now, you've done enough." Discipline answers, "Not yet. Keep going." Discipline is built in small, steady actions. Make your bed. Drink water. Read instead of scrolling. Write when you're tired. Turn off distractions. These acts compound. They build momentum. They shape you. You are not what you say you want. You are what you do. Habits define you. Rituals create you. Discipline molds you. Ask yourself, what do you do each day to become the man you imagine? Do you feed your mind wisdom or noise? Do you strengthen your body or weaken it? Do you build resilience or make excuses? Discipline isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. Some days you'll fail. Some days you'll fall. Some days the weight feels heavy. Discipline brings you back. It reminds you why you started. It pushes you through resistance. Resistance is real. It lives in comfort zones. It thrives in distractions. It seduces you with ease. But discipline speaks louder. It says, "I won't be defined by fear. I won't be a slave to impulse. I will forge myself into something greater." Discipline is delayed gratification. It's choosing the long game over the quick win. Every time you skip scrolling to focus, every time you say no to the party to rise early, every time you push through discomfort, you win. Building discipline is building trust in yourself. It proves your word matters. Your promises to yourself have weight. Trust is the root of confidence. Without discipline, you drift. You lose your way. With discipline, you anchor. You advance. You become. Discipline is habit. Habit is identity. Choose habits with intention. Build rituals that serve your vision. Wake up with purpose. Move with meaning. Rest with gratitude. Guard your time. Protect your mind. Master your focus. Focus is your weapon. Focus means saying no to distractions. Focus means saying yes to priorities. Focus is the line between busy and productive. Discipline isn't a one-time act. It's a lifelong commitment. You'll be tested. You'll be tempted. You'll want to quit. Remember why you started. Remember your fire. Remember your war within. Remember the man you're becoming. Every disciplined act is a vote for that man. Build your discipline, brick by brick, day by day. The man you want to be is waiting on the other side. The only way there is through discipline. Discipline is the discipline of becoming. Not just a man who dreams, a man who does. Not just a man who hopes, a man who acts. Not just a man who wishes, a man who builds. Discipline is the daily battle to be better than yesterday. That battle is worth it. In the end, you don't become disciplined by chance. You become disciplined by choice. Choose to rise, choose to endure, choose to become. The discipline of becoming is the discipline of life. Life rewards the disciplined, not with ease, with greatness, not with comfort, with freedom, not with applause, with peace. Embrace discipline, own the struggle, celebrate the growth. Become the man you were meant to be. You'll face moments you want to shrink. You'll hear voices say, settle, be realistic, play it safe. But the discipline of becoming says, don't flinch, stand when it storms, rise without applause. Growth never comes wrapped in comfort. It wears the mask of pain, challenge, and difficulty. Inside that pain, your potential, dormant, waiting, unshaken by doubt, pressed through the resistance. You're not just building results. You're forging someone who won't negotiate with mediocrity. Most stop because they mistake a feeling for a fact. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It lives in your decisions. Decisions, repeated with loyalty, become identity. When you say, I will become, the universe listens, but it also asks, will you still become when it's dark? Will you become when you're tired, when no one believes in you but you? The answer must be yes. If you don't become who you could be, the world loses more than your potential. It loses a light, a voice, a presence born to lead. The discipline of becoming isn't about earning worth. It's about reclaiming it. It's rebellion against a world that wants you to forget. Don't just exist, become. Chapter 5, The Mirror and the Mountain. You've heard the call. You've felt the fire. You've fought the war within. You've tasted the discipline of becoming. But now, the world waits. Not as an audience, but as a landscape, both harsh and holy. Before you stands a mountain only you can climb. This is the chapter where theory ends and the journey begins. This is where silence meets action. This is where the man you're becoming steps out from the shadows of intention and into the light of reality. The mirror is honest. It shows you the scars, the doubts, the lines etched by years of compromise. But it also shows you the eyes of a man who has survived his own storms. These eyes have learned to see through the fog of noise. They recognize the difference between comfort and calling. You stand at the base of your mountain, your purpose, your dream, your destiny. From here, it looks impossible. The summit is hidden in clouds of fear and uncertainty. You hear the voices of 1,000 men who never dared to climb. But now you know, the only way out is up. The first step is the hardest, not because your legs are weak, but because your mind remembers every time you quit before. Every time you let the world's noise drown out your own resolve. But you take the step anyway. Not because you're sure, but because you're committed. With each step, the air thins, the distractions fade, the world below grows quieter, your own voice grows stronger. You remember, clarity is found in altitude, not in comfort. You will stumble, you will slip. There will be days when the mountain feels too steep. On those days, your old habits will try to call you back to the valley of distraction and ease. But you keep climbing, not because you crave the summit, but because you refuse to die in the valley. The higher you go, the more you shed. Old beliefs, old wounds, old stories about what you can and cannot do. The mountain demands sacrifice, not of your soul, but of your certainty. It asks you to trade your excuses for effort, to trade your fears for faith. You realize something important. The mountain isn't your enemy. It's your teacher. Every struggle is a lesson in resilience. Every setback is a test of resolve. Every quiet sunrise above the clouds is a reminder. Most men never see this view, not because they couldn't, but because they never tried. You learn to love the climb. You find meaning in the struggle, not just the arrival. You start to notice the others, the few who dared to climb their own mountains. Their eyes meet yours with a silent understanding. Brotherhood is forged here, not in the comfort of the valley, but in the shared suffering of ascent. You are no longer alone. You share stories by the firelight of hard-won wisdom. You encourage each other when the path grows dark. You remind each other that the mountain is not conquered in a day. It is conquered in 1,000 small, defiant steps. You begin to see yourself differently. You are not the man who started. You are the man who endures. The world below will try to call you back. It will offer you shortcuts, applause, and the illusion of arrival without the cost of the climb. But you know better now. You know that true peace isn't found in the absence of struggle. It's found in the presence of purpose. You keep moving upward, even when your legs shake and your lungs burn. You keep moving because you've learned that the summit is not a place. It's a process. It's a way of living, not a destination to reach and rest. One day, you crest a ridge and see the world as it truly is, vast, wild, and full of possibility. You realize that the mountain was never in your way. It was the way. You stand taller, not because the world is smaller, but because you have grown. You see the path behind you. Every stumble, every scar, every moment you wanted to quit but didn't. They are not marks of failure. They are medals of becoming. You remember the boy who once doubted and the man who once hid. You honor them both because they brought you here. You look ahead and realize there are more mountains. There always will be. But you do not fear them now. You welcome them because you have become a climber. The man who faces the mountain with courage, who meets the mirror with honesty, is the man who changes the world. First his own, then the worlds of others. You descend to help the next brother rise. You become the guide you once needed. You light the torch for those still afraid of the dark. This is the legacy of the disciplined, the courageous, the awakened. Not a life without pain, but a life lived on purpose. The world will try to convince you that the mountain is too high, that the climb is not worth it, that you are better off safe and small. But you know the truth now. The only life worth living is the one you build, step by step, breath by breath, in defiance of the gravity that would keep you ordinary. So climb. Climb when it's dark. Climb when you're tired. Climb when the world forgets your name. Because the summit is not for the chosen. It is for the committed. And when you stand at the top, wind in your face, lungs full of the rare air of accomplishment, remember, the mountain did not change you. You changed yourself on the way up, and that is a victory no one can take from you. Chapter 6. You are not who you think you are. You are who you've been pretending to be. Behind every polished smile, every socially acceptable answer, every carefully crafted online post, there is a self you've buried, not because it was wrong, but because it was inconvenient. Our world doesn't reward authenticity, it rewards presentation. Somewhere between being liked and being real, most of us made a trade. A quiet agreement to be seen, not to be known. The mask became normal. The mirror became unbearable. But here's the truth. The longer you wear the mask, the more you forget the face beneath it. You start adjusting your tone to match the room. You post things not because they're true, but because they'll perform well. You laugh at things you don't find funny. And the worst part, you start to believe this performance is you. But late at night, when no one's watching, when the notifications stop, the silence starts whispering. It whispers about dreams you abandoned, dreams that didn't fit the algorithm. It whispers about questions you stopped asking, questions that made others uncomfortable. You weren't always this way. You used to speak your mind. You used to imagine boldly. You didn't edit yourself. So what happened? Life happened. Expectations, rejections, 1,000 micro adjustments to stay safe, to stay accepted. Now you're a stranger in your own life. You're fluent in everyone else's language, silent in your own. The mask protects you from judgment, but it also imprisons your power. Real strength isn't loud, it's honest. It's the courage to say no without explanation, to tell the truth even if your voice shakes, to be misunderstood and stay grounded anyway. You don't need more validation, you need restoration, not of your image, of your identity. Look in the mirror, not to fix what's wrong, but to remember what's real. You're not here to impress the world, you're here to awaken it. That starts when you remove the mask. Step into the silence. Finally, recognize your reflection. There is something sacred about the silence after a long battle, not the silence of defeat, the silence of revelation. It's in that space, that moment between what was and what will be. That's where the soul is reborn. You walk alone sometimes, Not because no one cares, but because the growth you're undergoing requires solitude. In that solitude, you confront uncomfortable truths about yourself. The distractions are gone, the excuses fade. What's left is you, raw, honest, unfinished. This is the season where most people turn back. They retreat to comfort, to noise, to anything that makes them forget how loud the truth becomes in silence. But you're not most people. You've made it this far. You're starting to realize there's no going back. Each step forward is a declaration. I refuse to be who I was. Each sacrifice is a prayer for who you're becoming. The pain is real. So is the purpose. You're not suffering for nothing. You're transforming. Think of the greats, the ones who came before. Do you think they had it easy? That destiny simply handed them the crown? No, they bled for it. They crawled for it. They cried for it. But they never stopped showing up. So show up, again and again, until showing up is no longer a decision. It's just who you are. Your story is still being written. The chapters ahead are waiting for a version of you forged in fire, stronger, wiser, unbreakable. Let this be your vow. I will not retreat. I will not surrender. I will rise, no matter how many times I fall. You were not born for average. You were born for impact. You were born to shift atmospheres. You were born to rewrite legacies. The world may try to box you in, your fire, your spirit, your truth. It cannot hold you. You've seen what it means to come alive. You've tasted what it feels like to finally believe in yourself. And now there's no turning back. Let this final stretch of Chapter 6 be your reminder. No one will save you. No one will build it for you. No one will hand you the life you dream of. But that's okay, because you were made for this. You are the storm. And the world is not ready. We tend to believe that time is infinite. We think someday we'll finally become the person we imagine, more disciplined, more focused, more brave. But the days pass quietly, so do opportunities. No loud alarm rings when we abandon a goal, no siren wails when our dream dies in the silence of hesitation. What you repeatedly delay becomes your identity. Real transformation happens in quiet repetition, in small moments when no one is watching. No praise is given, the world remains still. It's in choosing to stretch your body when your mind screams rest. It's choosing to write one more sentence, make one more sale, send one more application. These decisions compound, not in a loud crescendo, but in the slow, almost invisible accumulation of resilience. Most people lose the war of life, not from catastrophic defeats, but from 1,000 tiny surrenders. They negotiate with fear. They rationalize procrastination. They worship comfort as if it were salvation. But comfort is not salvation. Comfort is seduction. It whispers, you're fine the way you are, even when your soul is begging for more. If you've ever had a moment where you felt fully alive, utterly present, without doubt, without hesitation, then you've glimpsed your potential. That state is not a fluke. It's a hint, a taste. It's proof that you can return there more often if you design your life to invite it. Every action is a vote for the person you are becoming. Cast enough votes, and the identity becomes yours. There is no shortcut, but there is a path. It is narrow. Few will walk it, but those who do never go back. Once you see what you are truly capable of, mediocrity becomes unbearable. So ask yourself, what would the future version of you, 10 years wiser and stronger, beg you to do today? What pain would they ask you to endure now so they can be free later? That future you exists. They're waiting. They're watching every choice you make. The battlefield is not out there. It's in the next decision you make, the next moment of silence you fill, the next habit you choose. Choose well. They told you to be realistic, to play it safe. But what they really meant was, be small, stay quiet, fit in. Don't dream too loud, because when you dare to dream, you remind them of what they gave up. You become a mirror they can't look into. So they try to dim you, mock your hope, smother your fire with the weight of their own fears. Don't take it personally. They're not fighting you. They're fighting the part of themselves they buried. But you were never meant for the dirt. You were built for altitude. That's why low places make you restless. The cage was never your home. It was just the starting point. Climb. Even if they call you foolish, even if you climb alone. The truth is, most will never understand you until they see the view from where you're going. But by then, they'll swear they always believed in you. Let them talk. Let your silence be louder than their doubts, because silence backed by motion is thunder. And when thunder rolls, the world listens. This is your time, not because someone gave it to you, but because you decided it was. Chapter 7. The world doesn't just pull you away, it distracts you. Slowly, daily, until you forget what you were aiming for. This chapter is about reclaiming focus, about mastering your mind in a world built to fracture it. Every ad, every ping, every scroll, it slices your attention, bit by bit, until your focus is dust. We once sat in silence, now we fear it. We once stared at fire, now we stare at phones. But the fire's still there. It burns behind your thoughts. You've just stopped feeding it. Focus is a superpower, rare, feared, priceless, and it's trained, not born. Start small, one task, 1 hour, no tabs, no noise. Turn off the world. Turn on your will. Breathe. Not shallow, deep, in, out, fully present. Most never breathe fully. They inhale fear, exhale panic. But you slow it down. Stillness isn't empty. It's full of intention. The modern mind is weak because it never sits still. It's like water with no jar, always moving, never contained. Contain it, structure it. Without focus, there is no greatness. Only noise, only fragments. Discipline is the dam. Focus is the river. Purpose is the ocean. Let them flow. When your phone rings, pause, ask, is this pulling me forward or away? Delete the apps you scroll without memory. They are thieves in daylight. Your energy is currency. Spend it with precision. You don't owe everyone a response. You owe yourself momentum. Great minds guard their time. Average minds leak it. Start journaling. Not for nostalgia, for navigation. Write what you fear, then stare at it. Fear loses shape when named. Track your days, your minutes. Account for your hours like treasure. Momentum is built like muscle. Reps, sets, consistency. Guard your mornings, guard your mind. There are no distractions, only choices. Silence is not empty. It is where ideas are born. Close the tabs, shut the noise. Return to your path, the one you were born to walk. The world will keep shouting. Let it. You listen to the quiet within, because that's where your future lives, and it's waiting. Most people don't notice when their life slips away, not because of tragedy, but routine. It fades one forgotten decision at a time. This is not just about productivity, it's about identity. Every time you choose distraction over discipline, you forget who you are. You are not a passive consumer, you are a conscious creator. This world will monetize your weakness if you don't weaponize your will. Don't be predictable. Be deliberate. Don't be available. Be valuable. Choose depth over noise. Long walks, deep books, real conversations. Most people chase new tools. You need fewer tools, more truth. Say no more often. No is power. Don't argue online, build offline. Be a builder of routines, of resilience. Make your room quiet. Make your rituals sacred. If you want what others don't have, you must do what others won't do. The difference between noise and signal is intent. You are the signal. You were not born to scroll endlessly. You were born to stand for something timeless. Don't just protect your mind. Sharpen it. Every hour you reclaim rewires you. Back to your mission. Back to yourself. You don't need more motivation. You need fewer excuses. Stop outsourcing your power. Reclaim your rhythm, because nobody else can do it for you, and nobody else was born to carry your fire. Silence is a weapon, but it cuts both ways. Use it to observe. Use it to listen. Use it to prepare. Do not waste your voice on ears that cannot hear. Do not offer fire to the ocean. It will drown your spark. Keep your plans close. Guard your momentum like a loaded rifle. When you are unknown, they ignore you. When you are rising, they mock you. When you are close, they fear you. That's how you'll know you're near the summit, not by applause, but by resistance. Let them underestimate you. Let them look away. You are not a show. You are a storm. Every second of restraint adds pressure. And pressure, when focused, becomes power. Train in the dark. Attack in the light. Let the world wonder when and how you arrived. Speak only when your words demand silence in return. Act only when your actions demand history to notice. Greatness is not noisy. It is quiet fury shaped by time. You don't owe anyone your truth, your dreams, or your fears. You owe them your discipline, your consistency, your result. Let them gossip. Let them doubt. You will be too busy building what they said was impossible, and one day they'll ask how you did it, and you'll smile, because you already told them. But they weren't listening. You whispered through action. You roared through patience. You conquered in silence. So here we are, at the end, or maybe the beginning. You've walked through silence, through discipline, through shadow and fire. Most turned back. You didn't. You stood in front of your fears, not to destroy them, but to understand them. That's power, not noise, not speed, stillness, presence, awareness. While the world runs in circles, you stood still and saw what they missed. You saw the lie, that happiness is earned by climbing ladders, that worth is handed down by strangers. You saw the truth, that fire is born inside you, and only you can feed it. Most will never meet themselves. They'll meet mirrors and call it self. They'll meet applause and call it meaning. But you learned the difference. This world doesn't reward potential, it rewards proof. And proof is uncomfortable, it's brutal, it's silent. You now know it doesn't shout, it whispers. You weren't lazy, you were waiting for silence. And when silence came, you didn't run, you listened. Now, you walk differently, not faster, but with gravity. You don't beg to be seen, you choose when to speak. And when you do, people lean in, because silence that's mastered becomes command. Now go out there, not to be great, but to be real. And if greatness follows, so be it. But you don't chase clouds, you plant flags. In every act of discipline, in every hard choice you don't skip, in every temptation you walk past without flinching. That's where the real reward lives. No one will give it to you, no applause will replace it. But when your head hits the pillow, you'll sleep in peace, because you met yourself and you stood tall, even when no one watched. That is who you are now. Not a puppet, not a product, but a presence, a quiet revolution. And revolutions never start with noise. They start with clarity, with courage, with a man or woman who decides, no more sleepwalking, you've woken up. Now it's your turn to awaken the world. But don't shout, just live differently, and let the silence speak for you. You don't need to go viral, you need to go inwards. That's where your future is, that's where your fire is, and that is where we end, not with a bang, but with the quiet power of someone who knows they don't need to be seen to matter. They just need to keep moving forward.